everybody, it's my voice broke. Hello everybody, it's Kristen here. Welcome back to my channel. You might be wondering what's with the different background. So this morning, because I have no more classes, I walked over to my sister's just to get a cup of coffee with her. And then I decided to do some filming here. So that is why there is a different setup. Okay.
My name is Becky.
And my sister's name is Becky, by the way.
And she wanted a shout out.
Okay, and she wants a shout out apparently. So today I'm going to be doing a review of the book Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. I tried to write all my thoughts down while they're still fresh and just get everything together. It still might be messy as I talk through it, but hopefully I can communicate pretty smoothly. I rated this book 4 out of 5 stars. I thought it was really good. I have heard a lot of people say it's full of tropes, and yes, it is full of tropes. But that doesn't mean it wasn't a really good book. I still really enjoyed it. So basically, we follow our main character, Mari Barrow, and she lives in a world split between reds and silvers. Mari is a red, and they're distinguished because of the color of their blood. So reds and then silver bloods. So the reds are the poor, servants, hardworking people of the silvers who are the rich, aristocrat. Is that how you say it? Aristocratic?
Yeah.
So the reds serve the silvers, and the silvers are all the rich people who live in palaces and kingdoms. The story begins with Mari's best friend getting conscripted into the army. So Mari does everything she can to save him from getting conscripted into the army. And basically, through a series of events, she gets taken to the Silver Palace, and through more series of events, she discovers she has a power of her own. So basically the story follows Mari as she navigates kind of all the politics and dramas of being in the Silver Palace. So I'm going to review a few kind of basic things about the book without giving anything away, and then I'm going to jump into spoilers because that is obviously the best part of the book to talk about. I should also mention, I chose to call the main character Mari. That might be so wrong, but that's what came into my head when I was reading, so I stuck with it. So I found this book was well written for about 3/4 of the book, but then the last quarter I felt was really rushed. I felt like a lot of the details just kind of, there was no flow. It was just kind of like information. It's almost as if the author needed to like tie everything up real quick. So I found it didn't really flow smoothly when I was reading it. But for the 3/4 that were smooth, I thought it was written really well. Yes, this book is full of tropes, but obviously that is why so many of the young adult books get popular and get read, because of those tropes. You have your classic, girl discovers she has a power that she didn't know about. There's the love triangle trope. What made Red Queen for me a 4 out of 5 stars, even though it's like so many other young adult books, was the betrayal in this book. Oh my gosh, I did not expect that. I can do my best to like guess who I think is gonna betray who or what's gonna happen or whatever. But this one totally took me by surprise. And I think that is why this book became so popular, is so many people were taken by surprise. There is this one line in this book, and it goes, "Anyone can betray anyone." It is written so many times throughout the book, and so it keeps you guessing. You're just like, oh, maybe it's her, maybe it's him, maybe it's them. Who is it? And then all of a sudden, you discover who it is, and just your mind's blown, and you're like, no freaking way. Yeah, so that is my really brief review of Red Queen without giving any spoilers away. I still have to learn how to review books more without giving anything away. I don't know how much to say. I'm going to stop right now and say, if you haven't read Red Queen and you don't want to hear any spoilers, then I suggest pausing this video or going to watch another video because I am going to be getting into the spoilers. So stop the video right now. All right, so for those of you who have read Queen, or those who haven't and you just want to hear all the spoilers, we are now going to get into the fun and interesting stuff. So Let's just please start off with the betrayal of Maven. I did not expect Maven to be the one. I really liked Maven as a character through the books because he was sweet, he was kind, he helped Mari. And then when he betrayed her, I was just like, come on, I really liked you. That made the book really interesting for me. Let's also talk about the scene where Mari discovers she has the lightning power. I thought was a really cool idea for it because when you think of elements that you can control, you know, you think of water, you think of fire, you think of invisibility, strength, like all those classic ones, but you don't hear a lot about lightning. The only other time you really hear about like controlling lightning is with X-Men, which this book had a lot of elements that reminded me of X-Men. So when all the princesses or ladies were competing in the Queen's trial to marry Cal, I thought that was really entertaining, and seeing all the different powers and hearing all about that. And then when Mari just falls down and she's heading towards that, what's that called? Shield? Electric force field. The way it's described, how she discovers her power, I thought that was really, really cool. I really liked reading that part. Basically, how the story unfolds from that and how she's taken into the kingdom and she's engaged to Maven. Now she's a princess and she has to do all those lessons. It's kind of like an action-packed version of Cinderella, I guess. Another point I really want to talk about is Shade. I knew he was alive right from the beginning. When it was first told that Shade died in the war, I was like, It was mentioned a couple times later on, and, you know, Mari's sad about it or whatever. In my head, I was just like, he's not dead. And then you get to, like, the last chapter, and what do you know? Shade's alive. I also liked how Mari could create lightning, how it wasn't just controlling an element. I also really liked Julian as a character, how he was kind of her teacher, and he was really interested in learning all about that. I really like that relationship. When you discover that he can control people's minds or like tell them what to do, I was like, yes. And then Mari and Julian, they save Mari's friends, like the Scarlet Guard. I thought that was all exciting. And then, oh my gosh, can we just have a moment of silence for Lucas? He was such a nice character. And then in the end, to be honest, it ends on a cliffhanger with him because I'm like, did they really kill Lucas? Is he dead? He probably is, because you always need like a sad death in the book. And if Shay didn't die, then you think Lucas is probably the one who's gonna die. But anyways, I was so sad about that. So because this was my first review, I probably was all over the place with my thoughts. But just to kind of bring everything back to the center again, I'm gonna talk about 2 traits I really liked about Mari. And then I'm going to talk about the 2 things I like most about the plot line. With Mari, the 2 traits I decided on was that she's very family orientated, and the second was that she wasn't really, I don't know how to say it, she wasn't really selfish. She really reflected on her family a lot. That was a big part of her life. And even when Kalorn got conscripted into the army, that was really what started the book, was that she wanted to save him from that. So I really liked that about Mari. There was that real kind of closeness and real emphasis on family. Even as she makes connections with people in the Silver Palace, they were being treated like family. With Lucas, kind of like an uncle. You have Julian, who was like an uncle, I guess. And then the other thing that I said was that she wasn't really selfish. I felt like Mari she was thinking of others a lot, and I thought that was a really well-written character. So those are the 2 traits, and then the 2 things about plotline for me. I am a very plotline-driven person. If a book is character-driven, I still enjoy it. And if a book has great world building, I still really enjoy it. But to me, if a book has a really delicious plotline, and there's a lot of history behind that plotline, I really like that. The 2 things about the plotline that really stood out to me was, of course, the betrayal. My goodness. That is definitely a highlight for this book. The other thing I wrote down was how Mari discovered her powers and the lessons she went through. Like I said earlier, I really felt like it was kind of an action-packed version of Cinderella. So kind of as she went through her lessons, how she learned to be a princess, how she learned to use her powers, I thought all of that was really cool. So I really liked those two plotline aspects. That is my review of Red Queen. I sincerely apologize if my thoughts were really scrambled. I try my best to think of them beforehand, but as you're talking, it just kind of all spills out in a mess. But whatever, I am hopefully gonna get better at thinking through my thoughts and planning out my reviews. If you have read Red Queen before, comment down below if any of the things I commented on were what you thought, or if you have any disagreeing thoughts. Comment down below. Let's start a conversation about it. So that is all I have for you guys today. Give this video a big thumbs up, click subscribe, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye!